Hey guys, in today's video, I wanted to talk about a conversation I recently had these past several weeks, and to me it was just really important to talk about in this video as I reflect off of that conversation. In our conversation, I was having a conversation with my brother, and during this conversation we were talking about hindrances, and we were talking about how, like, in certain parts of our life when we are in the process and we are really going through a lot of trials and turbulent times, it feels like so many things are hindrances, whether it's with relationships, whether it's with our profession, or it just seems like there's always something that seems to prevent us from us trying to take a step forward. And during our conversation, I had shared with them, I don't believe in hindrances. And as I reflected off that conversation and the way how that conversation went, I had to clarify a few things within that conversation because it really didn't come out as right as I had hoped. And during the conversation, I felt like it had a little bit more of a negative meaning behind it, whereas a good positive one from it. So because I reflected off of that conversation, and it was a good conversation, but as I reflect off of that conversation, I started to think about, it's not so much what you said, but how you said it. And as I reflected off of that conversation, I went to my brother and I was like, when we were having that conversation talking about hindrances, I wanted to share with you like what I actually meant. And he started laughing because he knew like I didn't mean anything bad behind it, anything negative behind it. He knew I meant well. And during our conversation, I cleared up. He laughed and he laughed and he was just, because he knows me, he laughed and he was just like no, he was like, I know what you mean. He was like, but that was another conversation, and that was a great conversation as well. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you, I don't believe in hindrances. And let me explain what I mean by this. So hindrance is something that is preventing you from taking a step forward. A hindrance is some form of a block or an obstacle that stops you from going forward, or stops you in general. So a hindrance, by definition, in my eyes, is, for example, my disability. My SMA, by definition, is one big hindrance, because it prevents me and it limits me from doing a lot of stuff, right? So what I mean by me having the mentality that I don't believe in hindrances, or I don't believe in the meaning of hindrance, is by me taking away, when I believe, let me explain here, I'll give you two meanings here. One meaning, I believe in hindrances, okay? I believe in the hindrance. I believe that there are things that can prevent us and stop us and test us, from us trying to take a step forward, or it becomes a hindrance. It stops us from us trying to become who we can become. It stops us from reaching our higher self. It stops us from becoming who we are destined to become. It stops us from us becoming who we are destined to become. So if I believe in hindrances and something bad happens, when I get sick, I end up in the hospital, man, it's a hindrance, and I start believing, man, me getting sick, it's a big hindrance. Man, I get sick a lot because of my SMA, and I start believing in this in hindrances as I'm trying to step forward. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow my social media presence. I'm trying to grow my brand, my personal brand, my name. And when I get sick and I'm in the hospital, I'm not able to record content. I may not be able to utilize my phone. That has happened numerous times. And if I believe in hindrances, like, man, my disability sucks, or why me? And I start to fall into a victim mentality. Now, if I have the contrary mindset, I don't believe in hindrances. Yes, of course, there are hindrances, that does challenge us and prevents us. But now if I have the contrary mindset where I don't believe in hindrances, I don't believe me being in the hospital is preventing me from trying to move forward. Yeah, it slowed me down, but it's not going to stop me. I don't believe in hindrances. By me having my SMA and it being progressive, there are days where I'm not able to pick up the phone and record content. There are days when I don't have the physical strength to feed myself, brush my teeth, pick up my cup of water. I'm not able to access my computer. There are numerous days like that because of the challenges that SMA brings upon me. But if I have that mindset, that positive mindset, I don't believe, this me being in the hospital or my SMA, me having not a good day with my SMA, meaning I'm not as strong as I was yesterday or the previous week. I see those challenges as opportunities for me to grow, as opportunities for me to improve oneself, meaning me. I see those obstacles and challenges to tell me, for example, there'd be times when I'd work and I'd be staying up super late in the middle of the night, whether I'm writing something, whether it's me brainstorming, what should I be doing next? What's my next step? Okay, I just got done doing XYZ. What are some challenges or concerns that may arise because I am doing XYZ? And I'm start brainstorming, I'm trying to fill certain holes that are going to be happening in my path up ahead, so that way I can prevent certain challenges or certain hiccups along the way. And regardless of what's going on, I see all of these challenges, and let's say I'm trying to build my personal brand and, I get sick, because that has happened numerous times, or, my SMA just really happens to have me wake up one day and I'm feeling much more fatigued than my normalcy. It slows me down a lot. Now, I see those challenges, where it's not there to stop me, prevent me, or have me take a step back. I see those opportunities as, depending on what it is I'm doing, is, you know what, Vic? You have been working a lot. This is God's way to tell you to slow it down. Slow it down a little bit so you can see this path a little bit more clearly. Yeah, you're seeing it good, you're seeing it well, but you know what? You are not seeing it great. You are not seeing it the way that you should be seeing it. So, these things happen to arise and it slows me down in the process. When I end up, it can either be slow, where I'm going with this is I see these challenges as an opportunity to grow. To have that mindset, to develop that mindset, to even create that mindset is not easy. It's very difficult to do. I did not always have this mindset. I always had the mindset, to be positive and smile, but, behind closed doors, I was struggling. I didn't always have this mindset that, I didn't always have this mindset to ask myself, like, hey, what are you going through? Or, hey, why is this happening? And I don't create a negative meaning behind these life experiences. I'm not able to pick up my fork today. I'm not able to pick up my phone. Maybe things are going on with your personal life and your mind is just in chaos. You can't think clearly because your mind is distracted. And you have to entangle these certain life events. You have to try to find your way through this fog or try to get through this storm that you are currently in. I didn't always have that mindset. I was always going through something mentally that I kept to myself for far too long. So eventually one point in my life, it led me down to having a mental breakdown that in medical terms, that's what they call it. In spiritual terms, as I reflect from it, is I was going through a very dark spiritual warfare. And it led me going down a very dark path. Now, during that process, it's not the easiest, to find that strength of resilience. It's not easy to find that ounce of faith when life feels like it is going so much against you. Or that everything is happening, to help you get to and reach where it is you should be going. To help you fulfill what you are predestined to become. It doesn't feel like that within the process. So how do you get there? How do you How are you able to reach, your higher self? How are you able to go from, this is who I am right now, to then go from, that is who I am going to become? Someone better, someone more improved, someone healthier. By healthier, I'm talking about ways where you can help yourself physically. You can help yourself mentally. You can help yourself become healthier mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, even financially. That is what I mean by, this is who I am, and that is who I am going to become. So how do you get through that process? To put it simply, it all begins with your mindset. How do you look at your life? When certain life events happen, maybe you lose your job. Maybe that dream you have been working so hard for, it doesn't fall through. What if you have put in years for a certain project and you finally begin to see results right before it really takes that spike where you really get a good return on your investment? And right once it's starting to climb, boom, something happens, it doesn't fall through. When you're trying to stay positive and you're trying to keep the faith and you're trying to get through this journey, you end up in the hospital. And in the moment, you may not know why. But for me, I came up with a saying that says, it's along the lines of, you may not understand it now, but one day you will. Meaning, you may not understand why you are going through everything you are going through. You may not understand why you lost that job. You may not understand why that dream didn't fulfill at your timing. You may not understand why that project failed. Project or projects has failed. You may not understand why you had fallen ill when you did. But you keep going anyway. Now you have one of two ways to look at your life. You can look at your life like, poor me, complain about it. Complain that XYZ is happening, it's always happening, this has always been the way that it is, and you complain about it. You do absolutely nothing about it. You don't try to improve your situation, and if your situation is one where you cannot improve, maybe it is simply just out of your control. What can you do to change that situation? Let me share with you what you can do. You look within. You stop looking outside. You stop looking outward. You start to change the things within. You start to change the beliefs you have within. The things that you feel inside are the very things that you need to learn. Because when you are able to change the things that go on within, you are then able to change how you look at the world outward. So those things that once looked like were so far out of your control, you begin to realize how much control you really did have within your environment, simply because you chose to do what everybody around you refuses to do, or not so much refuse to do, but don't understand how to do. You chose to do what the ordinary person doesn't know what to do or how to do, which is look within. Why do I have this belief about XYZ? And if you don't know the answer, you develop that curiosity of seeking that information. I don't know where to begin. You become that curious one that, maybe you have an epiphany moment. You're looking at your phone, you're scrolling on social media, and finally clicks. Wow, I actually can look up how to improve this situation, how I can change this feeling inside, how I can heal these certain emotions or traumatic experiences from my past. Maybe you even seek the stories of other people who have a very similar story as yours. We're not just seeking the stories of other people that can say, hey, I know how you feel. But you seek the stories of those individuals who have a very familiar story such as yours, and they overcame it. So these people share their story, whether it was through a podcast, maybe even a book, maybe a blog post. So these people can speak to you in a way that says, I understand how you feel. I was there too. This is what I learned. Allow me the opportunity to help you get through it. And as you continue to go through this journey and you start to, seeking answers from those people who, again, can not only say, I know how you feel, and they are still living that lifestyle, or still going through the same thing that you are going through, but you start to seek the answers from those individuals who have been where you have been, where you are, and they overcame it, they got through it. And you begin implementing those tools of information that they are sharing with you. And you begin to take one step at a time. Growth is one of the hardest things, I believe, especially if you are an ordinary person. You don't have a lot of advantages of people helping you out, helping you get through the process. You are that one that is literally starting that change. It's not easy. The growth is not the easiest thing. It's not supposed to. The thing I learned about life is the more challenging the path, the more stronger you become. When you switch your mindset from why me to what is this trying to teach me? There are always two ways you can look at your life. That is one, this very thing, this person, this job is a hindrance. It always has been. And it never will change. Or you can look at the alternative path that you have been looking away from for far too long, up until you came across this video. And you're now looking at this alternative path. I understand, that this experience that I am going through makes me feel that it is a hindrance. It has been stopping me for far too long. But you look at this other path and you can't help but feel deep empathy to understand why you feel the way that you feel with your current environment, with everything you are going through. And instead of telling yourself, arguing with yourself like, you idiot, how did you not know this? Or, oh my gosh, how come you didn't do this sooner? You could have prevented XYZ. But you develop empathy. Because if not now, then when? But you develop empathy because you are able to reflect back off of your life and understand that everything had to happen the way that it did in order to guide you to where you are, which ultimately will lead you to who you will become. So my question from me to you is, how are you going to continue to look at your life? The same way that you always have been? Continuing to get the same results? Repeat the same life experiences you always have been? Or are you going to begin today changing things one step at a time, moving you forward one step at a time, one day at a time? In the very beginning, as you really begin to take growth seriously, you have to understand that one, it isn't going to be easy. It's not supposed to. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And if things were always easy, you become a very weak individual. But you want to go into challenges that you have continue to go through. And you begin to implement these changes one day at a time, one step at a time. These changes in the beginning may not feel like nothing. To put it simply, isn't it funny how when we are going through the process, we don't understand why everything happens the way that it does while we are going through these life experiences of ours. But when we reflect back, everything is different. That is the power of compound results when you take one step at a time and you focus one day at a time. No matter how chaotic your life is, no matter what it is you are going through, you stop becoming distracted, looking around, why things won't work. You become very mindful of the advice people give you who are not living the lifestyle or who are not in the position to who it is you want to become. You become very mindful with who you choose to listen to. You become focused. You go from this to, hey, focus here. And you become focused to where it is you are trying to go. You are trying to reach. The power of hindrance, the power of belief that hindrances prevent you, is the same power of belief you can hold upon yourself that what you once looked at as a hindrance forms into an opportunity for which you can grow. Grow your character, grow your mindset, grow your empathy, grow your communication skills. It's an opportunity for you to grow, to help you become the victor in your story. Allow me to leave you with this last question. If you continue on the path that you are currently on, and you do absolutely nothing different, what makes you think that next year, the next 5 years, the next decade is going to become any different? the answer? Something tells me that you already know what you need to do. Later never becomes never. I love you. I appreciate you. Please let me know if this video brought any form of value to and for you. This year, my New Year's resolution is to really step out of my comfort zone and to really push myself to create improved content and continue to improve myself in all areas of my life, one step, one day at a time, and to continue to help bring the most value that I possibly can within my ability with where I currently am to help you along your own journey. This video is going to become the very first video I am going to add to my weekly Thursday videos, which will be my new playlist, which is Victortheinspiration Speech or Speeches. I don't know. I think this new series, the idea behind it is it's going to give an idea to those people who have stages and they would love for me to speak on their stage and to see the value I could bring to their stages, bring to their audience. I hope these videos that are much longer and in this form of a style of content is going to give them an idea of how much value I really could bring to their audience. I hope that this new playlist, this new series, where these videos are going to be like 25, I am going to aim as much as possible to do minimum 25-minute videos, hopefully leading to like 45-minute videos. And I hope that it leads to me speaking on stages. I really hope that this year I can really begin my speaking journey and my keynote speaking journey and really get out there becoming a keynote speaker, where ultimately it leads me to becoming one of the greatest speakers that has ever rolled on this earth. I was going to say walk on this earth, but I think roll is a little bit better. And yeah, I think this is just an idea. So it kind of helps me build a portfolio, and it gives people an idea as to what kind of value I could bring to their audience. And yeah, and if this was really a speaking gig and I was like in front of an audience, I would speak, right, regardless of the length of it. And then I think like the last 10 to 15 minutes, depending how the audience interacts with my content and kind of just get the vibe of the room, feel the room, will determine, like a 10-15 minute Q&A. Okay, speech is done, great. And of course, not like that, but a lot better. Did a speech, everything went great, everything went well. I did the best in my ability. I did my best bringing the utmost value, and I do a Q&A, and I even bring personal value to people who have a question, and I can help them in that way as well. I think it's a win-win. I think it's a great way. It's a win for me to begin my speaking journey, starting this series. I hope it creates a really good portfolio, and I think it's a win as well for the audience because they have a lot of value that will be given to them. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me throughout this journey. This year as well, I am really going to, again, be pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I really hope I can become a keynote speaker and really begin that journey and really begin traveling and doing things like that. Building a team as well and doing things like that. That's another topic, another conversation for another day. And yeah, I really hope you guys are doing well. And I love you. I appreciate you. And remember, grow through what you go through. I think I will always end my speeches with that. Grow through what you go through. I don't know. Let me know what that means to you. Almost smashed my hand. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe.